Life doesn't move in straight lines. It twists, turns, and surprises us along the way. On Better Things Ahead, we talk with people who have walked those winding paths. Each story reminds us of the lessons, hope, and promise of better things ahead. This week, we're going to continue our kind of holiday series as we look through different aspects of the holidays and different traditions and things that families kind of go on and experience. And so this week, we're specifically going to be looking at traveling and even more specific to that, vacationing on the holidays. And so I know we've had some families within our church, and you may know some families that go off and vacation and visit unique places for the holidays. And so that's what we want to kind of talk through. So if you're maybe considering that or have questions about, that's what this podcast is going to be about. So for this week, we have our special guest, a friend of ours, Jenn, who's going to be joining us. She has some experience as far as travel and things, and specifically helps with travel agency and all those kinds of things. And so, Jenn, thank you for joining us. We're excited to have you part of our podcast, and just kind of, welcome to Better Things Ahead.
Thanks for having me here.
Absolutely. So I guess to start, just to kind of ask you, I know that you help people plan travel and things like that, but what about you and your family? Have you guys ever traveled specifically for, a holiday? And, if so, kind of what does that look like for you guys?
So we travel for every holiday of the year, at least the big ones: Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, 4th of July. Typically, we're cruising because it is it's cheaper. But this year, we are doing something different for Thanksgiving.
Okay.
We are going to Arkansas, to the Diamond Crater Park, taking the boys to dig for diamonds. And
cool.
It's a little different.
Yeah.
It's not your typical vacation that you think of with palm trees and sun and sand. We're going to do a little family adventure.
Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, our family has, we kind of like vary back and forth between, like, some holidays we're home and we're doing stuff with family around here, and there are other holidays where we've traveled. We've done Disney on both sides of Christmas. We've done Disney at Thanksgiving. We've done New York City at Christmas, and actually been there on Christmas Day, which was kind of a very cool experience. If you were to ask our kids, most of we have three. Two of them for sure would say that New York City Christmas trip was their favorite trip. Do you have like a one that you look back on, you're like, that was my favorite trip?
All of them are my favorite. Well, because there's
it's a good answer.
There's so many different memories that you make. That's the whole point of like why we go during the holidays instead of giving lavish gifts. Mm-hmm. Because my kids don't remember that new sweatshirt that I got them. I have 4 kids, and by the time 6 months rolls around, they've already asked for something else. Mm-hmm. So we started to implement vacations, and they've parasailed. They've swam with dolphins. They have done all these things that they will remember versus a gift.
Right.
But I would say the most memorable out of all of them was almost 2 years ago, Caden. We did it for his graduation. We went to Alaska.
Very cool.
So not only holidays, but big milestones in our lives. Went to Alaska, and that was the best trip I've ever had in my whole life. And I will tell you, before we went, I said, no, sir, I don't want to go. Because it's cold.
Yeah.
And I didn't think about, like, what you would see. I was just like, I really want to go to the beach. And he's like, no, Alaska. And I said, all right, I'll do it once for you. But the time that we were leaving, getting back to the airport, we were booking the next year. We just went back this year for the second time. And it was absolutely as incredible this year as it was last year, and we're going back next July.
That's awesome. And I remember talking to Caden about it, and, because Alaska is one that that's one of my places that I've not been to, because I enjoy travel, and I've been a lot of places. Alaska is one of those places that I've not been able to figure out how to get there yet. And, but
I'm just worried that if you go there, you're just going to end up living there.
Oh, I would. Yeah.
You absolutely would.
That's what I think. Kelly, do you agree with that, producer Kelly?
I think possibly, maybe.
Yeah. I'd find a little remote cabin up there, and never see the light of day again.
That's what I'm worried about.
Literally in Alaska, I guess, depending on the time of year. But yeah. So I do. I enjoy it, and so this is a topic that I'm really excited to kind of talk through, because again, I love travel. I love vacationing, just going different places, and I've not been able to quite make it work for our family and stuff around the holidays, because right now we've got
which is just me, my wife, and our son. But we have family around, like in Tennessee, so we're going and visiting them, and usually it's kind of doing all that, and rather than it being us, I even try to talk to them like, hey, you guys want to go on a destination holiday, then come on.
I think that's the hardest part, is convincing other people, because we get into that habit of the tradition. Everybody's going to grandma's on Christmas Eve, and then we're going to the other grandma's or what have you, and getting everybody out of that routine, even though that's healthy and it's lovely to be with the family, but taking it away. We didn't really start going hard on travel during holidays until after the pandemic, because I think that kind of made us realize, once everything started to open back up, we have an opportunity. We have this life to live. Let's live it. And that year, so 2021, for Christmas, because everything had just opened up, my kids got a gift, and it was a piece of luggage, and in that luggage was a ticket. They were leaving the next day to go to the Bahamas. And they had no idea.
That's great.
So, but we also, my family's from New York, so born and raised in New York. I mean, we're so far removed from them that for us it's easier, because they don't expect us to come back up there. They understand that we have established, another style of life down here. We call, we FaceTime, but it's easy for us to just kind of scoot away.
And that makes sense, and that's a great point, because different stages of life, different things, all that plays into everything. But kind of one thing you mentioned early on was the idea of experiences, right? And I'm big fan of experiences over gifts, because to your point, I can look back on my life and be like, what did I get my 11th birthday? Who knows, right? Not a clue. But I can remember all those places that I've traveled and all those places that I've been, and you're able to look back and remember some of those things. So, as far as that goes, we kind of talked about some of the favorite places that you've been and that sort of thing. When looking at maybe around the holidays specific, are there, like, I know that you've done some of the cruises, has been very popular for you guys, as well as now going to go diamond hunting in Arkansas. I didn't know that you could go diamond hunting in Arkansas.
It's the only place in the U.S.
That's incredible. And so, like, now,
how did you find it?
I don't know. I think it was on social media, and I saw an article pop up that said 3.1 carat diamond found in Arkansas Diamond Crater Park. And I was like, oh my gosh, we've got to go. So my husband and I actually went for our anniversary in September, and we came home. We stayed at these cabins. They're the Diamond Old West cabins. There's a saloon. There is a mercantile, and all these different places, and they are decked out like an old Western town. And we went and stayed there, did the diamond hunting. You can sift everything through, bring home the dirt. We bought a microscope. We have been looking. I think we have 2 potential diamonds. We're taking them back to get them evaluated.
Okay.
So funny. But I asked the boys. I said, they're boys, and they like playing in dirt. And I was like, would you guys like to go and do this? They said, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like,
sounds like a great time.
It's a great time. And you're getting a little dirty. You're with the family. And when we were up there the first time, I went to, it's in Murfreesboro, Arkansas. It's a very small town.
Yeah.
So I went to a couple of the local restaurants, and I said, what are you guys doing for Thanksgiving if I was to come back? And they said that this place, Terry's, does a buffet. Perfect. We will be here, because I didn't want to go without being able to have some sort of dinner and still have that Thanksgiving experience. So they're accommodating us for that.
Very cool.
Yeah.
You should check it out. It is so cool.
Sounds fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, I will definitely be checking that out.
It's a 5-hour beautiful drive.
That's okay. Or probably a 2-hour flight.
Oh,
so Matt, we can make it a day
Matt
trip,
can fly people there.
You can fly.
And,
also in Alaska, they got some seaplanes. I don't know if Caden mentioned that to you.
That's my dream. That's part of why I've not been to Alaska. There's been a couple of times I've been able to plan an Alaska trip, but I'm not going to go until I get my seaplane rating, because I've got to get that while I'm there. Where else would I want to get a seaplane rating other than flying the glaciers of Alaska?
Absolutely.
So that's definitely bucket list stuff. So, back, see, I'm all fired up on travel.
Matt's, this is as excited as I've ever seen him on the podcast. I mean, he gets excited on the podcast. This is as excited as
that's right.
He's already planning his way out of here.
Yeah, that's right.
Now.
That's right. And because I've got several trips coming up, and so
Yeah, you're going to be all over the planet. Here
Yeah.
in the
Where are you
next-
going?
yeah. So here in just a few weeks, I'll be in England for a few days, and then I'll be in Tennessee to
He's
visit
just
family.
jet setting over there for a few
No big
days,
deal.
and then
That's right.
he'll be back.
So I'll be there, then I'll be in Tennessee for a few days, and then I'll be flying out to Israel, and I'll be there for about a week.
That's incredible.
So yeah, and so we talked about travel on a podcast. I don't know, it's been a few weeks ago now, but kind of my mentality is I always have my passport and stuff with me, so that way, anytime something pops up, I can
Ready to
say
go?
yes, and I'm ready to go.
Absolutely.
So yeah. So with that being said, with all these different places, what would you rank as some of if maybe a family has never done a vacation for a holiday, what are some places that you would kind of rank up there and say, hey, here are some really good first time options if you're kind of hesitant or never done it before, as a way to kind of break into the traveling for holidays?
So if it was me selecting for a family, if it was all inclusive, something that's family friendly, safe, and friendly on the wallet, would be Punta Cana, Dominican Republic.
Okay.
For all inclusive. It's beautiful. The people are so friendly. There's so much to do, and plenty of family friendly resorts. If it was a cruise, I would say Eastern Caribbean. So that would be anything with the Bahamas, St. Thomas, St. Martin, Barbados. And the reason for that is because they have the prettier beaches. So Western Caribbean, you
Gotcha.
have Mexico and everything, and it is safe, 100% safe, but it's not as pretty. Now, Western Caribbean is cheaper.
Yeah.
Cancun is cheaper. Cozumel is cheaper. But if you're looking visually, aesthetically, definitely the Eastern Caribbean. Trying to think.
Yeah.
Dominican Republic.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, this is not a question of money. I'm curious. This is I think about food. So is there a place that you've been that you're like, I would go back there just for the food?
That's a great question.
Oh my gosh. I love food everywhere.
Me too.
So that's one of
yeah.
the things that we strive to do, actually.
Yeah.
So a lot of people, when they go on trips, they're on top of, making those memories, having an excursion that you're never going to forget. We always try to do something local. We want a local dish.
Yeah, definitely.
Aruba was one of our favorites for food.
Okay.
Bonaire. Bonaire is Dutch, so they had a lot of the Dutch dishes.
Interesting. Yeah.
And I don't recall what the name of these little balls were, but they were really good. And you dipped them in mustard. They were really good. Anything with jerk chicken. I don't personally love the food in Mexico. I think I've gotten too accustomed to Americanizing the Mexican food. They don't have queso like I from the local places.
It's hard to beat queso.
It is hard to beat. But Bohemian food, the rice and peas, I love Bohemian food. All of the food. Just everywhere you go. I try to ask somebody, where do the locals go?
Yeah.
I don't ask where the tourists go because usually it's something like a Senor Frogs or a popular chain restaurant
right.
or Fat Tuesdays. I want a local place that you would take your family.
Yeah.
And I've never been disappointed.
Okay, I gotta tell a funny story about that. That question. So a few weeks ago, I've taken my daughter on these different college visits. She's getting ready to pick college. She went to the University of Florida in Gainesville, and we get there, and it's like a Thursday night because our visit's on a Friday. We've been driving all day. I'm like, we need to try a good local restaurant. I mean, you need to know what the town's like. If we're gonna send you 9 hours away, you need to know what the town's like. What if they have good local cuisine, good local scene, that sort of thing. So I go to the front desk, and I'm like, hey, we are from out of town. We would love to know what's a good local restaurant. And guy with absolute sincerity looks at me and says, there's a really great barbecue place right around the corner. I'm thinking to myself, barbecue sounds awesome. Oh, no. I mean, I'm a good Mississippian. The barbecue sounds great. And he's like, yeah, it's called...
I'm not even prepared. I'm not ready for this.
He said, yeah, it's called Texas Roadhouse. And I was like... all I could do was just thank you. I really appreciate the suggestion. And so the next night, I go downstairs, and it's a different lady at the front desk. And she looks like she's lived in Gainesville for a while. And I asked her, and she gave me a couple of good suggestions. And there was another lady at the desk, and she said, well, we really like Texas Roadhouse. I was like, there's something special about this Texas Roadhouse here. Like, but that's not what I was looking for. I was not looking for a chain restaurant. It was so funny.
At least they gave you an option that we don't have locally here.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
My daughter drives 3 hours to go to Texas.
Yeah, we used to have a Texas
Yeah.
Roadhouse, not here anymore.
Yeah.
So,
That's too funny.
anyways, it made me chuckle when you said
Yeah.
you need to ask about local cuisine. I was like, I tried.
Yeah.
It didn't work
Didn't
out.
go well.
And that should tell Lorelai right there, don't go to Florida.
Don't go to Florida.
Don't go to University of Florida.
I don't think she's going to.
Yeah, that's good. So all those are really cool places. What are some places maybe you would caution against for a first-timer vacationing on a holiday? And I want to preface, just in case there's, places out there that, we're not saying these are bad places.
Right.
They're just not.
Maybe complicated trips for a
Yeah.
first timer.
I wouldn't do, and I know this breaks a lot of people's heart when I tell them that this is a place that I don't like, is Puerto Vallarta.
Okay.
That's where we had our honeymoon. It was complicated. I'm not going to lie. It was a hard place to get around.
It is. There's just
out.
something about it that the people were friendly.
Yeah.
And there's a Walmart and a Sam's Club.
I don't think they had a Walmart and Sam's Club back when we
There
had our
was, but it's very commercialized. Again, I like the local culture, but it wasn't easy to navigate. The streets were very congested, and when thinking about families, I'm like, would you feel safe with your children walking down the street? The people are driving crazy. Now they drive crazy in most places, but Puerto Vallarta, it's just not on my top
I was
list.
terrified most of the time we were in a taxi cab
Yeah,
because
It's like an
it was like there were
excursion on
no
its own.
laws. It was just people were free for all.
suggestions, no
Yeah.
laws.
Yeah. So that's a good shout. I would agree with that. It was a great place. We had a good time.
It's beautiful, but it's
Yep.
just not. It's not the destination that I would probably pick. And it's funny because when I was growing up, you used to watch like The Price is Right, and they were sending everybody to Puerto Vallarta. So I was like, oh, I've got to go there.
Go there, yeah.
I was like, yes. Oh, it was not.
Then you find out why it's a prize.
Yes. Nobody was booking it on their own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's good. What about because I know some families, you mentioned it, Disney, Universal, kind of the theme park, or maybe big domestic type places that people tend to go. What are some things you see, kind of pros and cons of going that route?
So the thing with Disney and Universal, their prices are astronomical these days, and they continue to rise. And when I look at a whole big picture, and I think about the cost to get there, a hotel, just the admission, and then food. Food with children is the biggest cost to me. So when I'm looking and I'm like, well, I can go to Punta Cana for half the price and have all inclusive, and my teenagers can eat 24/7.
Yeah.
That is one of the things that I consider. But then with Disney and Universal, you got these people who really enjoy theme parks and the rides and that environment, so family friendly. I have a hard time justifying the cost of those, even though it's a good experience and everybody is happy. It's just a lot of money.
Yeah.
For not a lot of for not a lot of experience.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
Although Guardians of the Galaxy, I do love that ride. I'm not gonna lie. I love that roller coaster.
It's the best coaster at Disney.
It is.
At this point. Yeah, and then you say everybody's happy. That's relative because I've been there plenty of times, and I'm fine. I know what to expect. You go, there's going to be lines. There's going to be people everywhere. You're going to wait for stuff. It's fine. I'm okay with that. There are a lot of families who go in, I guess, with a different mindset because they've spent all this money. They're like, I shouldn't have to wait for anything, and the food should be cheaper. And I'm just like, you signed up for the wrong thing.
Oh yeah, absolutely. The lines are awful.
Yeah.
You have to wear your patience pants. That's what I tell patient pants for
I haven't ever
everybody.
called them that, but that's a good
Yeah.
thing.
Just make sure you bring those with
Yep.
you. But for a majority of the people are happy.
Sure.
They're enjoying their time. But
Yeah.
you have to know and prepare.
That's right.
And that's the same with any destination. What the expectations are. For example, riding in a taxi cab. Some people would have a lot of anxiety over that on its own. So
Yeah.
Well, and I think that brings up a great point as far as preparing for those types of trips. Because you do have to go into, regardless of which route you go, some sort of kind of preparation and getting your mind kind of wrapped around that well. And so, let's back up a bit, but like, so let's say a family, individual, whomever is looking at doing a destination for the holidays. At what point would you recommend them kind of starting that planning process and kind of to help, a good timeline as far as, getting maybe best prices or giving time to kind of process and really think through options, all those kinds of things? Where would you have them start?
So we start 2 years out.
Okay.
So we are planned into 2027. But I'm a big planner. Usually about a year out is fair, especially because flights you can't get until about 10 months out anyways.
Right.
So that plays a factor, especially with pricing. The earlier you lock things in, you typically better pricing. But a lot of the time what people don't know is if you're like with Disney and the prices go down, you can readjust, you could price adjust. Same with cruises or all-inclusives. There's always the option to lower the price if you have somebody working for you or if you're familiar with that. And plus, with that aspect, you can put a deposit down, and then it allows you to pay. Instead of dropping a large sum of money at one time, you can put a small deposit and pay it off and start to prepare that way. And then, like a lot of people are like, well, how do I prepare with what do I wear? I wish I could tell you. Mother Nature makes the call. We just never know.
Right.
Like right now, I'm getting ready to leave on Thursday to go to the Caribbean. And I have no idea what the weather's going to be like, especially when I come back. It's going to be 47 degrees in New Orleans. So I have to prepare for the destination and for the return home.
Yeah.
So definitely a year out. Because
Yeah.
I think you get too close and then you get anxiety. And then it's like, oh my gosh, did I forget something? And there's a lot you can forget. Don't forget the passports. Don't forget clothes.
Yeah.
Right.
And so along those lines, so for someone, they're planning, maybe they're looking out a year in advance, trying to kind of think through, their destination. We talked about several really good options, cruising or, going to some of these other places, whatever it might be. How do you help someone kind of navigate that choice? Like, for me, I'm more of a destination guy. I've not done a cruise. I have an interest in doing cruise. I have a son who tends to get motion sick, so I've always had a concern that you get on this cruise for the first time, and now all of a sudden he's miserable all week.
The whole trip is now
the
miserable.
whole trip is now gone. So I've not been brave enough to go that route yet. But how do you kind of navigate that with someone kind of wrestling with, well, what do we do?
So I usually ask them, what are your expectations? What do you want? Because it's not the same. Like what you want and what you want are maybe two very different things.
Sure.
Are you adventurous? Do you mind not seeing, to be in one place? Because with the cruise aspect, you're going to see several places in a short amount of time. But you're on a ship. And now, while I am a big cruiser, there's only so much you can do on a ship. Is that something you want to do? Are you okay with staying put? If you're in a destination, you have the option to maybe go to a sister resort for the day. You have the option maybe to go zip lining. You have all day activities at that destination. So are you more adventurous and want to go out and about, or are you okay with more relaxation? Because I feel like the destination allows more adventure and relaxation, whereas with the cruise, your adventure aspects are only at the destination and you only have a short period of time.
Right.
So for instance, you take a cruise to Costa Maya, you're there from 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. That's only 6 hours. By the time everybody gets off of a ship, it's 2:30. By the time you have to be back, it's 7:30. You want to get somewhere and do something. Your time is so short. And if you really want to live in the moment, you don't have a lot of time to do that. So while cruises are fun, they're definitely not for everybody. So I just ask them, hey, or do you like Disney? I will flat out ask them, do you like Disney or Universal? And some of them are like, oh, absolutely not. I don't want to do that. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
But then it comes like, all right, now you decided you want to go to a destination. How do you pick? There's so many.
Right.
Well, certain places don't have all inclusives. If like Puerto Rico doesn't, some of the U.S. Virgin Islands do not have the all inclusives. So that starts to eliminate a large amount of where people will go. And then I just give a list. I'm like, if you want good beaches, you're not going to Cabo. Cabo's beaches are very rocky. It's beautiful. I love Cabo, but you're not going to be able to swim. So do you want a good beach? You want to go to St. Martin because the airplanes fly over the beach. That was one of my favorite places. You get pelted with sand. And it's so cool to have the airplanes just like right on your head. Or do you want to just, I don't know, go zip lining
Yeah.
over some mountains?
Yeah.
There's a lot out there. There's so much out there, and you have to figure out what fulfills your heart.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And the best way to discover that is to take
it.
that step and do it, right?
Do it.
And learn
because
from
it's
the
also, I always tell everybody, even if it was a cruise, it's not forever. You're not moving there.
Yeah.
So if you take one cruise and you don't like it, you don't ever have to do it again. If you go to St. Martin and it's not your favorite place, try Punta Cana next time. Most people don't come back saying, I'm never going there again. I rarely hear it.
Yeah.
Rarely. Because I thought that about Alaska. I've only ever met 2 people that said they wouldn't go back to Alaska. And I was like, why? They said it was cold. Well, what do you think? It's Alaska.
That's right. Setting those
It is near
expectations,
the Arctic,
right?
so
Yeah.
Alaska.
And that's
There's a lot of options out there. There's a lot. This world has a lot to offer.
Yeah, it does, and and I like kind of going back to, we've said it multiple times, but getting those experiences, walking through those things, even if it's a one time thing, and because you never know. To your point, you never know if you'll get to go back to this place or that place. So
That is one of the, when I tell people when they come to me and they're like, well, what should I do in this location? I always tell them, do something that you may never have the opportunity to do again.
Yeah.
So while swimming with dolphins may cost you $180 a person, what if that was the only time that you ever got to do that?
right.
Do one thing on every trip. You don't have to go super deep in debt or, do crazy things, but pick one activity that you may never have the opportunity to do again. Like, I went swimming with dolphins in Malta, and I was like, this is amazing. I did it where they filmed World War Z. I'm never going to have this opportunity again. I have now done it 5 times, but because I loved it so much, I've jumped out of an airplane once. I will never do that again.
I'm good. I don't need to jump out.
I'm
Airplanes are
good.
supposed to fly. You're supposed to sit in them.
Yeah, I will never do that again. But one thing that you may never have that opportunity to do again, because you never know.
Yeah. That's great. And so as we kind of process all those kinds of things and start figuring out all that, that's, of course, to your point, going back to the planning aspect of it, right? You plan it out a year in advance. Now you can save a little extra to do some of these special things and make the most of that trip. Because I do think that's, you don't want to go into that with a regret of like, well, I really wish I could have done this. And now instead of enjoying that experience, you have this lingering aspect of regret when taking that aspect to plan and get there. It kind of helps out. But I do want to do the flip side of that. You have someone who isn't a planner. They don't, look too far out ahead, and they get a whim and say, I want to go somewhere, this holiday, because turns out my family has other things going on, and, we want to do our own thing. Is there ever any opportunity, or how would you recommend someone walking through that process? I know that would drive you absolutely nuts.
I think it might surprise you.
but-
This trip I'm leaving on Thursday.
Yeah.
I just booked it yesterday.
Okay.
So I do last minute things.
Okay.
Actually, we also booked the Arkansas trip yesterday.
Okay.
So, because we had talked about it, but
Sure.
we hadn't locked it in. You can definitely do it, but I think you have to understand that certain things may not be available. So your options might be slimmer because resorts are booked up, cruises are booked up, and travel is at its peak right now. So you have to be more flexible.
Sure.
And pricing. Pricing, it may be a little bit higher. It's always higher during the holidays anyway.
Right.
But the closer you get, the little bit,
Yeah.
and flights, if you have to factor in flights,
Yep.
those are just awful. Just being more flexible, I
Sure.
think, is important when it comes to last minute, but totally doable. I have booked so many trips and gone on them personally where I've had zero plan, because sometimes that's the fun in it. Is like, I don't know what I want to do.
Yeah.
And then we end up doing something off the wall. Last weekend, I was in Mexico. I know this sounds crazy. I'm going back. And we went to a place called La Casa. I had never been there before. And it said that you got to have a beach and a pool and you got to cook. And I was like, who goes on vacation to cook? I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
Because I've never cooked on vacation. Usually people remove themselves from that. And it was the best experience. The people were just amazing. They took care of us. They were so friendly, and it was something I probably will never do again. But I had fun while I did it.
Yeah.
because otherwise, everybody's going to the beach, and I want to try some other things.
Sure.
Yeah.
Just be flexible.
Yeah, that's great. So kind of like wrapping things up, like if you, anything else that you would kind of share, maybe that we didn't, either of us didn't ask or touch on, that you would share with someone kind of contemplating a destination holiday, any last things you would kind of add into there?
Do it. Convince the family. I know it's hard because everybody gets set in their ways, but take the opportunity to try it once. If you do it one time, maybe it's not for Christmas. Maybe that is your big at-home ordeal. Maybe do it for Thanksgiving or even the 4th of July. Try it for something that maybe isn't so, it's family oriented, but it's a little different.
Yeah.
Try it for the 4th of July, see the experience, and then I think once most people get a taste of it, then they're like, yeah, I want to go back and do it again. Bring the family along and try it all together. It's hard. It's so hard to convince people
Sure.
to go out and about and to just get out of their routine. But I think people will be very happy to do it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you've convinced me. I'm ready to go and like start booking stuff.
Where are we going?
You know.
We leave the 20th of December and we are going to the Bahamas. And I'm not quite sure where else, but we are leaving. We will be gone for 8 days.
Okay.
And actually, my family asked this year, "Are you putting up the tree?" And I don't know if I'm going to.
Yeah.
It's
I don't think I can get away with that at my house.
so I've never not, but my kids,
Yeah.
3 of them are grown adults now,
Yeah.
and 1 is a senior in high school. And I was like, I don't know, because last year we did Christmas and New Year's, so we were gone the entire time. I still put up the tree, and by the time I got back, I had to take it down. And I was
Yeah.
like, we didn't even get to enjoy it.
Yeah.
But I feel like I still have to have that aspect of our life because that's the home aspect. We're only gone
Sure.
8 days.
Sure.
We still have to enjoy it before.
Yeah.
So that's a personal toss up I'm having right now.
Yeah.
Understood. Yeah.
Yeah. That's yeah, that's fantastic. I love it and love the opportunity to, do those things. And I know some people aren't like that. Some people are homebodies and do not want to travel, and that's okay. That's why you have other traditions. But I'm all about trying new things and getting those new experiences in place. But Jen, I do appreciate you coming
thank
on
you.
with us and talking through this. It's been very helpful. As we kind of talk through, as you've listened and you've heard, you get questions, start kind of thinking through all those things. And Jen said it best. Look at that opportunity and take it. And we would encourage you to do so, and just as something different. But even if you're contemplating this, hopefully this is kind of giving you some insight into what that looks like. We encourage you to kind of think through what that looks like for your family.
Thanks for joining us on Better Things Ahead. Follow the show on Spotify and Apple Podcast, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for the video of our podcast. Until next time, keep moving forward because there are always better things ahead.